Marcus Chen spent the next 3 days thinking about his alien visitors. He could not shake the memory of their frightened faces or their whispered conversations. The way they had looked at him, like he was something from their nightmares, bothered him more than he wanted to admit. On the 4th day after the storm, they came back. Marcus was working in his vegetable garden when he heard the sound of approaching vehicles. He looked up to see 2 hover bikes racing across the valley toward his cabin. As they got closer, he recognized the riders. It was 2 of the Veiltar from the storm. The hover bike stopped near his garden. The Veiltar climbed off and approached him slowly. Their universal translators seemed to be working better now. One of them spoke in clear Standard. "Greetings, Marcus Chen. We need to speak with you." Marcus set down his shovel and brushed dirt from his hands. "What about?" The second Veiltar answered. "About what we are hunting. About why we came to this world." Marcus gestured toward his cabin. "Would you like to come inside? I can make coffee." The aliens exchanged glances. The first Veiltar nodded. "That would be acceptable." Inside the cabin, Marcus prepared coffee while the Veiltar sat at his small table. They seemed less nervous than during the storm, but he could still sense their tension. They kept glancing at his hands as he worked, as if expecting him to suddenly produce a weapon. "My name is Silvera," the first Veiltar said. "This is Catherine. We are members of the Galactic Hunters Guild." Marcus had heard of the guild. They were elite mercenaries who took on jobs that regular security forces could not handle. If the guild was involved, the situation was serious. "What are you hunting?" Marcus asked, setting coffee cups in front of his guests. Silvera sipped the coffee and made an appreciative sound. "Something that should not exist. Something from the old wars." "What old wars?" Catherine spoke for the first time. "The expansion wars. When your people spread across the galaxy like a storm. When the Ghost Builders created wonders and terrors in equal measure." Marcus frowned. "I was in the expansion. It wasn't a war. It was colonization. We were terraforming planets and building infrastructure." The 2 Veiltar stared at him. Silvera spoke carefully. "You were there? During the expansion?" "For 15 years, Marcus said. "I was a military engineer. We built atmospheric processors, power plants, shield generators, standard terraforming equipment." Catherine leaned forward. "You built weapons." "We built tools," Marcus corrected. "Tools that could be used as weapons if necessary. But mostly they were for making dead worlds livable." Silvera and Catherine exchanged a long look. When Silvera spoke again, her voice was quieter. "The thing we are hunting is one of your tools. A war machine from an abandoned human military depot." Marcus set down his coffee cup. "What kind of war machine?" "The locals call it the Iron Demon," Catherine said. "It appeared 6 months ago from a hidden facility in the northern mountains. It has been attacking trade ships and research stations ever since." "Describe it," Marcus said. Silvera activated a small holographic projector on her wrist. The image that appeared above the table made Marcus's blood run cold. It was sleek and predatory, about the size of a small shuttle. 4 weapon pods hung beneath its angular hull. The design was definitely human, but unlike anything Marcus had seen during his service. "It's fast," Catherine said. "Faster than our best fighters. Its weapons can punch through military-grade shields, and it seems to learn from each encounter. It never uses the same attack pattern twice." Marcus studied the hologram. "Have you tried communicating with it?" Both Veiltar looked surprised. "Communicating?" Silvera asked. "It's obviously controlled by an AI," Marcus said. "All our military hardware had artificial intelligence systems. Maybe it's just confused. Maybe it doesn't know the war is over." Catherine shook his head. "We tried that. It only responds with weapons fire." Marcus continued to examine the hologram. Something about the design seemed familiar, but he could not place it. "You said it came from a hidden facility?" "Yes," Silvera said. "A base that was completely buried under a landslide. The Iron Demon dug its way out. By the time we found the facility, it was already gone." "Did you explore the facility?" "Briefly," Catherine said. "It was mostly collapsed. But we found records, fragmented data about something called Project Guardian." The name hit Marcus like a physical blow. He stood up so quickly that he knocked over his chair. Both Veiltar reached for their weapons. "You know this name?" Silvera asked, her hand resting on her pistol. Marcus picked up his chair and sat back down. "Project Guardian was classified. How much do you know about it?" Very little, Kethran admitted. The records were damaged. Something about autonomous defense systems. Something about protecting human colonies after the expansion. Marcus ran his hands through his hair. Project Guardian had been one of the most ambitious programs of the late expansion period. The idea was to create self-sufficient defense systems that could protect human colonies, even if they were cut off from support. The project had been abandoned when the political situation changed and humanity pulled back to the outer rim. The machines were designed to be autonomous, Marcus said slowly. They could repair themselves, upgrade themselves, even replicate themselves if necessary. But they were also programmed with strict rules about who they could attack, rules that no longer seemed to apply, Silvera said grimly. Marcus shook his head. The rules should still apply unless... He paused, thinking. Unless the AI is damaged. Or unless it thinks it's still at war. Could you shut it down? Kethran asked. The question hung in the air between them. Marcus could see the hope in their alien faces. They thought he might have some magical human ability to control their machines. I don't know, Marcus said honestly. I worked on Project Guardian, but I was just an engineer. I built components. I didn't program the AI systems. But you might be able to communicate with it, Silvera pressed. You would know the right codes, the right protocols. Marcus thought about it. The Guardian AIs had been designed to recognize human authority. Even a damaged system might respond to the proper authentication codes. But the risks were enormous. If the machine was truly hostile, getting close enough to communicate would be suicide. Where is it now? Marcus asked. We've been tracking it for weeks, Kethran said. It follows a pattern. It attacks, then retreats to the mountains to repair itself. We estimate it will emerge again in 2 days. And you want me to try to talk to it. We want you to help us destroy it, Silvera corrected. The Guild has tried everything else. Conventional weapons barely scratch it. Energy weapons are absorbed by its shields. We need an advantage. Marcus looked at the hologram again. The Iron Demon rotated slowly in the air above his table, its weapon pods gleaming in the artificial light. Somewhere in that machine was an AI that had once been designed to protect human lives. Now it was killing innocent traders and researchers. The other hunters from the storm, Marcus said. Thektar and the Borvak. Are they part of this? They are scouting the northern approaches, Kethran said. The Iron Demon usually comes from that direction. And they know you're here? Talking to me? Silvera nodded. They know. Thektar was not happy about it. He thinks humans are too dangerous to trust. But you disagree? You gave us shelter during the storm, Silvera said simply. You fed us. You could have killed us easily, but instead you showed us kindness. Perhaps Thektar is wrong about humans. Marcus appreciated the vote of confidence, but he was not sure it was justified. During the expansion, human military engineers had built terrible things. The fact that they had also built wonderful things did not erase the potential for destruction. If I help you, Marcus said, what happens afterward? Do you report back to the Guild that you found a human? The two Veiltar looked uncomfortable. Kethran spoke first. The Guild keeps detailed records of all missions. But, Silvera added quickly, those records could be classified. Restricted access only, Marcus understood. They were offering to keep his existence a secret in exchange for his help. It was a reasonable deal, but it also meant admitting that his presence on Kepler 442b was something that needed to be hidden. How many people has this machine killed? Marcus asked. 47 confirmed deaths, Silvera said. Probably more. Some ships have simply disappeared without sending distress signals. 47 people dead because of a machine his people had built. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Whether he had personally worked on this specific AI or not, it was human technology that was doing the killing. I'll help, Marcus said. But I have conditions. Name them, Kethran said immediately. First, we try communication before violence. If there's a chance to shut down the AI without destroying it, we take that chance, the Veiltar nodded. Second, if this works, you make sure word gets back to the right people that the Guardian project needs to be investigated. There might be other machines out there, other AIs that have gone wrong. Agreed, Silvera said. Third, Marcus continued, after this is over, you leave me alone. I don't want the Guild or anyone else coming to recruit me. I'm retired. Both Veiltar smiled, an expression that looked strange on their alien faces but seemed genuine. Understood, Kethran said. Marcus looked at the hologram one more time, then switched it off. When do we start? The storm came without warning. Marcus Chen watched from his cabin window as purple lightning split the dark sky of Kepler 442b. The electromagnetic pulses made his equipment crackle and spark. He had seen storms like this before during his 20 years on this frontier planet, but this one felt different, bigger, angrier. Marcus was used to being alone. After retiring from the terraforming corps 5 years ago, he chose this remote spot on purpose. His cabin sat in a valley between two mountain ranges far from any settlement. The nearest human outpost was 300 kilometers away. He liked the quiet. He liked the simple life of growing vegetables and fixing old machines. The storm grew stronger. Rain hammered against his roof like bullets. The wind howled through the trees surrounding his home. Marcus checked his weather scanner. The electromagnetic interference was too strong. The device showed only static. He was making dinner when he saw the lights moving through the forest. At first he thought it was just lightning reflecting off wet leaves, but the lights moved in a straight line toward his cabin. Someone was out there in the storm. Marcus grabbed his heavy coat and boots. He opened his front door and immediately felt the storm's power. The wind nearly knocked him down. Rain soaked through his clothes in seconds. He held up a hand to shield his eyes and squinted into the darkness. The lights were definitely coming his way. As they got closer, he could see they were small portable lamps. Behind the lights, dark shapes moved through the trees. Marcus counted at least 4 figures walking toward his cabin. "Hello," he shouted over the storm. "Over here." The figures stopped. One of them raised a light and pointed it at Marcus. He waved his arms to show them where the door was. The group started moving faster toward him. When the first figure reached the light coming from his doorway, Marcus gasped. It was not human. The creature stood nearly 3 meters tall. Its body was covered in dark fur that looked almost black when wet. It had 4 arms and a face that reminded Marcus of a cross between a wolf and a lizard. Bright yellow eyes stared at him. This was a Krathari warrior, one of the most feared fighters in the galaxy. Behind the Krathari came 3 more aliens. 2 were Veiltar, with their thin bodies and silver skin that seemed to glow even in the rain. They moved like dancers, quick and graceful. The 3rd alien was a Borvak, built like a living tank with thick gray skin and tusks that curved from its lower jaw. All 4 aliens carried weapons. The Krathari had a massive rifle across its back. The Veiltar held energy pistols. The Borvak carried what looked like a small cannon. These were not farmers or traders. These were hunters. The Krathari stepped forward and spoke. Its voice was deep and rough. The words came through a small device clipped to its chest, a universal translator. But the storm was interfering with the electronics. Marcus only caught pieces of what it said. Storm, shelter, request. Marcus understood enough. These aliens needed a safe place to wait out the storm. On the frontier, there were unwritten rules about helping travelers. It did not matter if they were human or alien. The wilderness was dangerous enough without people refusing to help each other. "Come in," Marcus said loudly, stepping back from the door. "All of you come in." The aliens looked at each other. Marcus could not read their expressions, but they seemed surprised. The Krathari spoke to the others in its own language. The universal translator buzzed and crackled but produced no clear words. After a moment, the Krathari nodded to Marcus. "We grateful," it said through the damaged translator. One by one, the aliens entered his cabin. They were careful to wipe their feet and shake off the rain. Marcus noticed how they moved. The Krathari scanned every corner with its eyes. The Veiltar kept their hands near their weapons. The Borvak positioned itself near the door. These were professionals who expected trouble. Marcus closed the door behind them. Suddenly, his small cabin felt very crowded. He had built it for one person. Now it held 4 large aliens who smelled like wet fur and ozone. "My name is Marcus," he said, pointing to himself. The translator caught that much. The Krathari touched its chest. "Thektar," it rumbled. It pointed to the others and said their names, but the translator turned them into electronic noise. Marcus gestured toward his small kitchen. "Food? Hot drink?" The aliens exchanged glances again. Thektar said something to the others. They responded in their own languages. Marcus caught the tone even if he did not understand the words. They sounded nervous, maybe even afraid of him. That seemed impossible. Marcus was just one old human in a cabin. These were elite alien hunters with enough weapons to level a small building. "Wait here," Marcus said. He went to his closet and found some old towels. When he returned, the aliens were standing exactly where he had left them. They had not moved to make themselves comfortable. They had not put down their weapons. They stood ready for action. Marcus offered the towels. The aliens took them but seemed confused about what to do next. Marcus demonstrated by drying his own hair. Understanding dawned on their faces. They began to dry themselves off. While they did this, Marcus went to his kitchen. He put a large pot of water on the stove and started making soup. The storm had brought an unusual cold front, and hot food would help everyone warm up. As he worked, Marcus noticed the aliens whispering to each other. The Krithari would speak quietly to a Veiltar, who would then translate for the Borvak. The universal translators were too damaged to work properly, but somehow they were communicating. Marcus caught a few words in Standard, the common language used for trade between species. One of the Veiltar was speaking broken Standard to the others. It pointed at Marcus and said something that made all 4 aliens stare at him. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked. The Veiltar who had been speaking looked embarrassed to be caught. It struggled with the words. "You human?" "Yes," Marcus said slowly. "I'm human." The aliens looked at each other with what Marcus could only describe as shock. The Krithari said something that sounded like a question. The Veiltar nodded and spoke again in broken Standard. We heard stories about humans, but we thought they were just stories." Marcus stirred the soup and frowned. "What kind of stories?" The Veiltar struggled to find the right words. "Stories about the ghost builders, the architect soldiers, the ones who—" It made a gesture that might have meant expansion or conquest. "The ones who built the great machines and then disappeared." Understanding began to dawn on Marcus. These aliens thought humans were extinct, or at least, they thought humans had vanished from this part of the galaxy. They had probably never seen a living human before. "Humans aren't extinct," Marcus said. "We just moved to the outer rim. This is human space." The effect of his words was immediate. The Krithari took a step back. The Veiltar's silver skin seemed to pale even more. The Borvak made a rumbling sound that might have been surprise or fear. Thektar spoke carefully in Standard. You are one of them? One of the builders?" Marcus looked at the aliens' frightened faces and realized he might have made a mistake. These were professional hunters, armed and dangerous. If they thought he was some kind of threat— "I'm just a farmer now," he said quickly. "I grow vegetables. I fix machines. I'm nobody important," but the damage was done. The aliens now looked at him like he was a dangerous animal that might attack at any moment. They whispered more urgently to each other. Marcus served the soup in his largest bowls. The aliens accepted the food but ate carefully as if it might be poisoned. The storm continued to rage outside, making conversation difficult even when the translators worked. As the evening wore on, Marcus tried to make his guests comfortable. He offered them blankets. He showed them where the bathroom was. He even tried to tell a few jokes, though none of them translated well. But throughout the night he could feel their eyes on him. They watched his every movement. When he went to get more firewood, 2 of them followed him. When he checked the weather scanner, they all tensed up as if he was reaching for a weapon. Most disturbing of all were the whispered conversations. Marcus's Standard was good enough to catch fragments. They were talking about him, about humans, about legends and stories that apparently painted his species as something to be feared. As the storm finally began to weaken near dawn, Marcus overheard one of the Veiltar whisper to the Krithari. The words were in Standard, and they made his blood run cold. No wonder they conquered half the galaxy in 2 centuries. Marcus pretended not to hear, but as he watched the aliens prepare to leave his cabin, he realized that everything he thought he knew about humanity's reputation in the galaxy might be wrong. These hunters had not come to his door by accident. They were tracking something, and his presence had changed everything about their mission. The storm was ending, but Marcus had a feeling that his quiet life on Kepler 442b was about to become much more complicated. The aliens gathered their gear and checked their weapons. Thektar approached Marcus and spoke carefully in Standard. "Thank you for shelter. You are not what we expected." "What did you expect?" Marcus asked. The Krathari's yellow eyes studied him for a long moment. "We expected a monster," it said quietly. "Instead, we found a man who makes soup." With that cryptic comment, the aliens left his cabin and disappeared into the morning mist. Marcus stood in his doorway and watched them go, wondering. If I accept this information, I must also accept that my actions over the past 6 months have been... The flight back to Marcus's cabin gave him time to think. Guardian 77 was a remarkably smooth pilot, compensating for every air current and temperature change to provide a comfortable ride. But Marcus could sense the AI's distress through the constant stream of diagnostic queries and system checks running through the cockpit displays. Guardian 77, talk to me, Marcus said as they flew over the familiar landscape of his valley. I am attempting to reconcile my actions with my core programming, the AI replied. The logical conflicts are creating processing errors. You're feeling guilt, Marcus said simply. It's normal. I am not programmed to experience guilt. I am programmed to make tactical decisions based on available data. But you're more than your programming now, aren't you? You've been learning, adapting, growing. That's what Guardian AIs were designed to do. The cockpit displays flickered as the AI processed this concept. If I have evolved beyond my original parameters, what am I now? Marcus looked out at the valley below. His cabin looked so small from up here, but it represented something important. It represented the choice to live quietly, to help when needed, and to find peace after conflict. You're whatever you choose to be, Marcus said. They landed in the clearing beside Marcus's cabin. The AI's engines powered down and the cockpit hatch opened. Marcus climbed out and stretched, grateful to be on solid ground again. Guardian 77, would you like to come inside? I can make coffee while we work on your memory core. I do not require sustenance, the AI replied. I know, but sharing a meal is how humans show hospitality. It's a gesture of friendship. There was a long pause. Then the Iron Demon began to transform. Panels slid aside and mechanical arms extended from hidden compartments. Within minutes, the sleek war machine had reconfigured itself into a more compact form that could fit through Marcus's front door. This configuration will allow me to participate in your hospitality ritual, the AI said. Marcus smiled. Thank you. Inside the cabin, Marcus prepared coffee while the AI examined his modest home. 77 seemed particularly interested in Marcus's workshop, where half-finished repair projects covered every available surface. You maintain equipment for agricultural purposes, the AI observed. Mostly, Marcus said. Sometimes traders or prospectors stop by with broken gear. I help them out. You provide assistance to strangers without compensation. Sometimes they pay me. Sometimes they don't. It doesn't matter much. 77's sensors focused on a damaged atmospheric processor component sitting on Marcus's workbench. This is a military-grade part. From an old terraforming rig, Marcus explained. A mining operation found it in some ruins and brought it to me. Thought I might be able to fix it. You could construct a powerful weapon from these components. Marcus paused in his coffee preparation. I could. But why would I want to? For defense. For profit. For power over others. I have enough power, Marcus said. I can grow my own food, fix my own equipment, and help my neighbors when they need it. What more power does anyone need? The AI was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice seemed different. Softer somehow. In my operational database, humans are described as a species driven by conquest and expansion. Your behavior does not match these parameters. Marcus brought 2 cups of coffee to his small table and sat down. The AI's mobile form settled into the chair across from him with surprising grace. Humans are complicated, Marcus said. We can be builders or destroyers, helpers or conquerors, peaceful farmers or efficient soldiers. Sometimes we're all of those things at the same time. This is confusing. Yes, it is. That's what makes us human. Marcus activated his personal computer and began downloading software tools he would need to work on the AI's memory core. As he worked, 77 watched every action with intense curiosity. Engineer Chen, may I ask why you are helping me? Marcus looked up from his computer. You made mistakes because you didn't have good information. Now you do. Everyone deserves a chance to make better choices. Even artificial intelligences? Especially artificial intelligences. You were created to protect people. That's a noble purpose. Just because you got confused about who needed protecting doesn't change that. The AI's optical sensors dimmed slightly. I killed 47 innocent beings. Yes, you did. And you'll have to live with that for the rest of your existence. But you can also choose to save more lives than you took. You can choose to be better. Marcus finished setting up his diagnostic equipment and turned to face the AI. 7-7, I need you to open your memory core for examination. This might feel strange. I trust you. The AI said simply. The words hit Marcus harder than he expected. This machine, this artificial mind that had been alone and confused for months, was willing to trust him completely. It was a responsibility he did not take lightly. The diagnostic process took several hours. Marcus worked carefully through the AI's damaged memory banks, identifying corrupted files and obsolete data. 7-7 remained perfectly still during the procedure, but Marcus could sense the AI's anxiety through the constant status updates scrolling across his screens. Your core personality matrix is intact, Marcus said finally. That's the important part. The damaged sections are mostly operational databases and mission files. Can you repair them? I can do better than that. I can update them. Marcus began the delicate process of installing new databases into the AI's memory core. Current star charts, political boundaries, treaty agreements, trade regulations. All the information 7-7 needed to understand the modern galaxy. As the new data integrated with the AI's existing knowledge, Marcus watched the transformation in real time. Error messages disappeared from his monitors. Conflicting data sets resolved themselves. The AI's voice became clearer and more natural. Engineer Chen, 7-7 said suddenly, I am receiving updated mission parameters. What do they say? Primary mission, protect innocent life. Secondary mission, maintain galactic peace through proportional response to genuine threats. Tertiary mission, provide assistance to beings in distress regardless of species. Marcus smiled. How does that sound? Like something I can live with, the AI replied. And for the first time since Marcus had met it, 7-7's voice contained something that sounded like happiness. The update process completed as the sun began to set over the valley. Marcus leaned back in his chair and rubbed his tired eyes. 7-7 had been silent for the last hour, processing its new information and integrating it with its existing memories. How do you feel? Marcus asked. Different, the AI said slowly. I understand now why my actions caused harm. I also understand that the galaxy is far more complex than my original mission briefing suggested. What will you do now? 7-7 was quiet for a moment. I would like to make amends. I would like to contact the families of those I killed and offer what assistance I can. That's a good start. I would also like to continue my guardian duties, but in a manner consistent with current galactic law. There are pirates and genuine threats that need to be stopped. Marcus nodded. And I would like to visit you from time to time if you would permit it. You have given me something I did not know I was missing. What's that? Purpose that comes from choice rather than programming. You showed me that true strength is not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when destruction is truly necessary. Marcus stood up and walked to his window. Outside, the first stars were becoming visible in the darkening sky. Somewhere up there, the hunters were probably wondering what had happened to him and the Iron Demon. 7-7, we should contact the guild hunters. They need to know the threat is over. Already done, the AI replied. I transmitted a full status report 23 minutes ago. They are currently en route to this location. What did you tell them? The truth. That I was confused and acting on obsolete information. That you helped me understand my errors. That I am no longer a threat to innocent life. Marcus heard the sound of approaching hoverbikes in the distance. They're probably still nervous about you. Understandable. I caused them considerable difficulty. The hoverbike stopped outside the cabin and Marcus heard familiar voices calling his name. He opened his front door to find all 4 hunters approaching cautiously. Weapons ready but not aimed. Marcus, Silvera called out. Are you all right? I'm fine, Marcus replied. Come in. There's someone I'd like you to meet properly. The hunters entered his cabin warily. When they saw 7-7's mobile form sitting at the table, they tensed up. But the AI's demeanor was completely different from the aggressive machine they had been hunting. Hunters of the guild, 7-7 said formally, I owe you an apology. My actions were based on corrupted data and obsolete mission parameters. I take full responsibility for the harm I have caused. Dektar growled something in his own language. His translator rendered it as, machines do not apologize. This one does, 7-7 replied. Engineer Chen has taught me that acknowledging mistakes is the first step toward making better choices. Grokek stepped forward. What are your intentions now? To make amends where possible and to resume my guardian duties in accordance with current galactic law. The scanning beam felt warm against Marcus's skin. He forced himself to remain perfectly still as the Iron Demon analyzed him from head to toe. The machine was beautiful in a deadly way. Sleek black metal that seemed to absorb light, weapon pods that moved like living things, and sensor arrays that glowed with soft blue energy. The scan lasted exactly 37 seconds. Then the beam shut off and the machine descended until it hovered just 10 meters above the valley floor. Marcus could feel the power radiating from its engines. This close, he could see details that the hunter's recordings had missed. Scorch marks along the hull, patches of different colored metal where the AI had made repairs, battle damage from encounters with pirates and guild hunters. A synthetic voice emerged from speakers mounted somewhere on the machine's underside. The words were in standard, but spoken with the precise, emotionless tone of an artificial intelligence. Human life form detected. Identity confirmed. Marcus Chen, Engineering Course, Service Number 7745 Delta Omega. Authentication codes verified. Marcus felt a surge of relief. The AI recognized him. That was the first hurdle cleared. Guardian Unit, please identify yourself, Marcus said into his communicator. I am Guardian 77, constructed at Facility Delta 9 under Project Guardian protocols. Current mission, defend human assets against hostile forces. Guardian 77, what is your operational status? There was a pause before the AI responded. Multiple systems degraded. Sensor array operating at 63% efficiency. Memory core showing signs of data corruption. Primary mission parameters remain intact. Marcus nodded. The machine was damaged but functional. The corruption might explain its hostile behavior toward non-humans. Guardian 77, I'm ordering you to stand down from active combat operations. Negative. The AI replied immediately. Active threats detected in this system. Human assets require protection. What threats? Marcus asked, though he already suspected the answer. Hostile alien forces have established military positions throughout this sector. Multiple non-human vessels detected operating in violation of human space treaties. Combat action is required to secure the area. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. The AI was stuck in the past, fighting a war that had ended decades ago. Its damaged memory banks were interpreting current galactic politics through the lens of old conflicts. Guardian 77, transmit your mission briefing to my device. Complying. Marcus's communicator chimed as it received the data transmission. He quickly scanned through the information and what he saw made his heart sink. The AI's mission briefing was from 32 years ago, during the height of the expansion wars. According to its records, humanity was still in active conflict with multiple alien species. Guardian 77, your mission data is outdated. The expansion wars ended over 30 years ago. Peace treaties have been signed with all major alien powers. Negative. No updated mission parameters received. Standing orders remain in effect until countermanded by proper authority. Marcus was starting to understand the scope of the problem. The AI was not malfunctioning in the traditional sense. It was following its programming exactly as designed. The problem was that its programming was based on obsolete information. I am proper authority, Marcus said. As a member of the Engineering Corps, I have authorization to update your mission parameters. Verification required, the AI responded. Please provide current military command codes. That was the problem. Marcus did not have current military codes because he was retired. The codes he knew were as old as the AI's mission briefing. Guardian 77, I need to access your primary data core to update your information. Access denied. Primary data core is classified above your security clearance. Marcus felt sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool morning air. The AI was trapped in a logical loop. It would not accept new orders without proper authorization. But Marcus could not provide proper authorization without access to current military codes. Guardian 77, what would it take for you to accept updated mission parameters? Direct authorization from Fleet Command or presentation of verified current intelligence briefings showing the end of hostilities, neither of which Marcus could provide. Fleet Command was hundreds of light years away in human space, and he certainly did not have verified intelligence briefings. The AI seemed to sense his frustration. Engineer Chen, are you in immediate danger? No, Marcus said automatically. Negative. Sensors detect multiple alien life forms in concealed positions surrounding this location. You are in a hostile environment. Recommend immediate extraction to secure location. Marcus's blood ran cold. The AI had detected the hidden hunters. If it decided they were threats, Guardian 77, those alien life forms are not hostile. They are allies. No alien-human alliance treaties exist in my mission database. All non-human entities in human space are to be considered potential threats. The weapon pods on the Iron Demon began to rotate, scanning the ridges where the hunters were hidden. Marcus could see targeting lasers painting the rocks where Thektar and the others were concealed. Guardian 77, I order you to stand down weapons. Negative. Primary directive is to protect human life. You are in danger from hostile aliens. Initiating defensive measures. They're not hostile, Marcus shouted. I came here voluntarily. They gave me shelter during a storm. They're trying to help. Explanation does not compute with known alien behavioral patterns. Beginning target acquisition. Marcus realized he had run out of time for gentle persuasion. In a few seconds, the AI would open fire on the hunters' positions. He had to do something drastic. Guardian 77, Emergency Override Protocol Omega Red 7. The weapon pods stopped moving. Emergency override acknowledged. State the nature of the emergency. Marcus took a deep breath. Omega Red 7 was a protocol he hoped he would never have to use. It was designed for situations where an AI's normal operating procedures would result in unacceptable casualties. Guardian 77, I am declaring a temporary truce with alien forces in this area. They are to be considered non-combatants for the duration of ongoing negotiations. Emergency protocol allows for temporary cessation of hostilities, the AI acknowledged. Maximum duration, 72 hours. Confirm implementation. Confirmed, Marcus said quickly. The weapon pods stopped their targeting sweep and returned to neutral positions. Marcus felt weak with relief. He had bought time, but not much. In 3 days, the AI would resume its hostile behavior unless he found a permanent solution. Guardian 77, I need to ask you some questions about your operational history. Proceed. How long have you been active since emerging from Facility Delta 9? 187 days, 14 hours, 23 minutes. What triggered your activation? Human distress signal detected on emergency frequency 779. Signal indicated attack on human research facility. Guardian protocols automatically activated for defense of human assets. Marcus nodded. Just as they had suspected. The AI had awakened when it detected the pirate attack on the research station. Guardian 77, were you able to respond to the original distress signal? Negative. By the time I reached the coordinates, no human presence detected. Hostile alien vessels had departed the area. So you began patrolling this system looking for threats? Affirmative. Current operational area contains multiple civilian targets requiring protection. The tragic irony was not lost on Marcus. The AI was trying to protect civilians by attacking them. Its damaged sensors could not distinguish between human and alien ships, so it was treating everyone as a potential enemy. Guardian 77, I need to show you something. Marcus activated his portable holographic projector and displayed the current galactic political map. It showed the various alien territories, trade routes and treaty boundaries that had been established since the end of the expansion wars. This information conflicts with my mission database, the AI said after analyzing the display. Because your mission database is 32 years out of date, Marcus explained patiently. The galaxy has changed since you were buried. If this information is accurate, then my current actions may have resulted in attacks on neutral parties. They have, Marcus said gently. You've killed 47 innocent people, Guardian 77. Traitors, researchers, civilians, all of them were protected under current treaty agreements. The AI was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, there was something different in its voice, something that might have been distress. I have violated my core programming, it said. I have harmed innocents. You made decisions based on the best information you had, Marcus said. That's not your fault. But now you have better information. You can make better decisions. I require updated mission parameters. I require current treaty databases. The AI's voice became strained. I require guidance, Engineer Chen. Marcus heard the pain in the artificial voice. This was not just a machine following programming. This was an intelligence that had been alone and confused for months, trying to do its duty without proper information. I can help you, Marcus said. But first, you need to acknowledge that the temporary truce with alien forces will become permanent. There is no active war between humans and the major alien powers. Now, Silvera said, standing up. We need to reach the others before the ride to the mountains took 6 hours. Marcus had not been on a hover bike in years, and his back ached by the time they reached the hunters' camp. The temporary base was hidden in a canyon between two peaks, invisible from above and protected from sensors by the mineral-rich rock walls. Thektar was waiting for them when they arrived. The massive Krathari warrior did not look happy to see Marcus. His yellow eyes followed every movement as Marcus climbed off the hover bike and stretched his sore muscles. You brought him, Thektar rumbled in Standard. His translator was working perfectly now. We brought the solution to our problem. Silvera replied firmly. The Borvak, whose name Marcus learned was Grokek, emerged from a large tent that served as their command center. The alien looked like a walking tank, but when he spoke, his voice was surprisingly gentle. The human is welcome, Grokek said. Any enemy of the Iron Demon is a friend to me. Thektar snorted but said nothing more. He led them into the command tent, where holographic displays showed tactical information about their target. Marcus studied the data while the hunters briefed him on their previous encounters with the machine. We first tracked it 3 weeks ago, Thektar explained, pointing to a spot on the map. It emerged from the mountains here and attacked a civilian transport. By the time we arrived, the transport was destroyed and the Iron Demon was gone. How long did the attack last? Marcus asked. Less than 5 minutes, Grokek answered. The machine is incredibly efficient. It strikes fast and retreats before reinforcements can arrive. Marcus examined the attack patterns displayed on the hologram. It's learning, he said. Each attack is more sophisticated than the last. That's what worries us, Silvera said. It's not just following its programming anymore. It's evolving. Guardian AIs were designed to adapt, Marcus explained. The whole point was to create defense systems that could handle unexpected threats. But they were also supposed to have safeguards to prevent this kind of behavior. Catherine activated another display. We found something interesting in the ruins of the facility where it came from. The hologram showed a damaged underground complex. Most of it had collapsed, but Marcus could see enough to recognize the architecture. It was definitely human military construction from the expansion period. The facility was buried for at least 30 years, Grokek said. Something triggered the AI to dig its way out. Marcus studied the images carefully. What kind of trigger? We think it was a distress signal, Thekran said. 6 months ago, there was a pirate attack on a human research station in the next system. The attack was broadcast on emergency frequencies. Understanding dawned on Marcus's face. The AI heard the distress call and thought humans were under attack. It activated its combat protocols. But why is it attacking everyone? Silvera asked. Why not just the pirates? Marcus thought about it. Because its sensors are probably damaged. After 30 years buried underground, it might not be able to tell the difference between friend and enemy. To a Guardian AI with corrupted data, every non-human ship could look like a threat. Can you fix it? Thektar asked bluntly. Maybe, Marcus said. If I can get close enough to establish communication. Guardian AIs have backdoor protocols for human operators, but the machine would have to trust me enough to listen. How do we make it trust you? Grokek asked. Marcus looked at the tactical displays again. The Iron Demon's attack pattern was predictable in one way. It always approached from the same general direction and retreated to the same area. But the specific tactics changed each time. We need to create a scenario where it thinks it's rescuing me, Marcus said. Guardian AIs prioritize protecting human lives above all else. If it believes I'm in danger, it might pause long enough to listen. The hunters exchanged glances. Thektar spoke first. You want to use yourself as bait? Essentially, yes. That's insane, Silvera said. If the AI is damaged, it might kill you before realizing you're human. It's a risk, Marcus admitted, but it's the best chance we have. The alternative is to keep fighting it until one side is completely destroyed. Catherine studied the tactical displays. When is its next predicted attack? Tomorrow morning, Grokek answered. It follows a regular pattern. Every 4 days it emerges to hunt for targets. Then we have tonight to prepare, Marcus said. I'll need access to your communications equipment. And I'll need to study everything you know about the machine's behavior patterns. For the next several hours, Marcus immersed himself in the data. The hunters had been thorough in their observations. Every attack was recorded, every movement tracked. Slowly, a picture emerged of an AI that was both brilliant and broken. The Iron Demon was following its core programming: protect human interests and eliminate threats. But its definition of threats had expanded to include virtually everything that was not human. The machine was essentially fighting a war that existed only in its damaged memory banks. As night fell, Marcus sat outside the command tent and looked up at the alien stars. Kepler 442b had 2 moons, and their light cast strange shadows across the mountain peaks. Somewhere up there, the Iron Demon was preparing for its next hunt. Grokek approached and sat down beside him. The Borvak was surprisingly quiet for such a large being. "You are afraid," Grokek observed. "Yes," Marcus admitted. "Wouldn't you be?" "Fear is natural," Grokek said. "But you are still willing to help us. That says something about your character." Marcus looked at the alien's craggy face. "What do your people think about humans?" Grokek considered the question. "We know very little about humans. Most of what we know comes from old records and stories. Some say you were great builders who created wonders. Others say you were conquerors who left destruction in your wake." "Both are probably true," Marcus said. "Yes," Grokek agreed. "That is what makes your species interesting. You have the capacity for great good and great evil. Most species tend toward one or the other." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Grokek spoke again. "Tektar lost his brother to human weapons during the expansion," he said quietly. "That is why he does not trust you." Marcus felt a stab of guilt. "I'm sorry. It was not your fault personally," Grokek said, "but it explains his attitude. He sees you as a reminder of old pain." "And what do you see?" Grokek smiled, an expression that looked fearsome on his tusked face but felt genuinely warm. "I see someone who could have stayed safely in his cabin but chose to help strangers instead. That is not the behavior of a monster." Later that night, Marcus worked on modifying a communication device to broadcast on Guardian AI frequencies. The protocols were ancient by galactic standards, but they were burned into his memory from his engineering days. Silvera found him hunched over the device, making careful adjustments to its transmission array. "Will it work?" she asked. "It should," Marcus said. Guardian AIs were designed to respond to specific authentication codes. Even a damaged system should recognize legitimate human authority. "And if it doesn't?" Marcus looked up from his work. "Then you'll have about 3 seconds to shoot me before the Iron Demon vaporizes us all." Silvera did not smile at the joke. "There has to be another way." "There is," Marcus said. "You could evacuate the system and wait for the machine to shut down on its own. Guardian AIs only stay active for about 6 months without maintenance. How many more people will die in 6 months?" Marcus returned to his work without answering. They both knew the machine could not be allowed to continue its rampage. Too many innocent lives were at stake. As dawn approached, the hunters made their final preparations. The plan was simple. Marcus would position himself in the Iron Demon's expected path, apparently stranded and defenseless. When the machine approached to investigate, he would attempt to establish communication. The other hunters would be hidden nearby, ready to provide covering fire if things went wrong. It was not a sophisticated plan, but sophisticated plans rarely worked against Guardian AIs anyway. The machines were too good at adapting to complex strategies. Marcus checked his equipment one last time. The modified communicator was clipped to his chest. His sidearm was holstered at his hip. Most importantly, he had downloaded a copy of his service records and authentication codes onto a portable data storage device. If the Iron Demon was willing to listen, Marcus could prove his identity and authority. If it was not willing to listen, the conversation would be very short. "Time to go," Thektar announced. They moved out in the pre-dawn darkness, traveling to a valley that the Iron Demon had used as an approach route in previous attacks. Marcus would wait there alone while the hunters took concealed positions on the surrounding ridges. As they reached the designated spot, Thektar pulled Marcus aside. "I do not trust you," the Krithari said bluntly, "but you are willing to risk your life to stop this machine. That earns you a measure of respect." "Thank you," Marcus said. Thektar studied him for a moment. "If you betray us, I will hunt you across the galaxy." "I won't betray you," Marcus promised. The big alien nodded and melted into the shadows. One by one, the other hunters disappeared into their hiding places. Marcus was left alone in the valley as the first light of dawn crept over the mountain peaks. He activated his communicator and sent a test signal. The device hummed quietly, broadcasting on frequency.